Welcome to the All Things Wildfire podcast, where we delve into the latest trends and hot topics in protecting properties against wildfire. So sit back, relax, and join us as we arm you against disaster.
Everyone, thank you for joining us again for this special edition where we have a special guest here from the IBHS, and it's Ann Cope. And I got to tell you, Ann, you don't know this, but when I began to research how to, build my home and make it more wildfire proof, if you will, I'm like, who's this Ann lady, right? I was like, she's all over the video trainings and she's out there doing her thing. I'm like, okay, I need to get to know her. So I've been stalking you for a couple of years. No big deal. But thank you for joining us.
I'm so honored.
And why don't you describe who you work with, what you do, what you represent?
Yeah, so my name is Ann. I'm a structural engineer by training, and I have the wonderful pleasure of leading the group there at the IBHS Research Center, where we do wildfire research, and we also do like wind and rain and hail and all kinds of fun things.
Yes, I love it. And one of the biggest things that I saw was you have this fortified designation. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, I thought, okay, this has been going on for years, and I saw the results of what that type of building materials and building construction was able to do. Can you share a little bit about the type of science-backed investigations and things that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been studying wind for a long time. Matter of fact, I grew up studying the impact of wind on structures. And so the Fortified program is based on years of engineering judgment, as well as now that we have the laboratory, we can test piece by piece what works. And so we have great building materials, whether it's wood or steel or concrete block. But the secret for keeping houses together when the wind comes blowing is in the connections. So the Fortified program, the roof, protecting the openings and keeping the building connected together, all of that science that we've been investigating, we put that into a checklist. You have to do this, 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 this. You prove it to us, you get your designation, and it works. Just ask the people in Southern Alabama when Hurricane Sally came calling. Fortified stood the test. Sadly, their neighbors were getting the water out of the kitchen.
Ooh, I love that. And when you talk about connections, the visual that comes to me is these roofs that are just flying off of the home, right? And so I think it's so valuable for the listeners, for all of us, to really have a better understanding that science-backed investigation or science-backed experiments and all these things that are taking place to really understand the building envelope and the building construction. What can we do to fortify our homes even more against disasters?
Oh, absolutely. And most of the time, it's the details. It's the small things, like the connections. The roof is fantastic. It has to stay connected to the walls. The things that we do to make sure that that fire is not going to ignite our structures. It's all about the details. It's all about where you put things, how you keep the embers out. It's those small things that make the world of difference.
Boom. And thank you for touching on the wildfire, because this is, after all, a podcast of all things wildfire. But I wanted to touch on the Fortified home because you have such a great reputation of already establishing, hey, we understand science, we understand building materials. And so when I began to look into, where can I go learn more about preventing wildfire from my own home, and then also for the homes of my clients, you guys are leading. You guys are the authority. Great. As far as I'm concerned.
Well, and that's wonderful to hear because, we're not out to make a buck. We are a 501c3, absolutely not-for-profit research center. We're funded by the insurance industry the same way that the crash test dummy people are funded by the insurance industry to make the world a better place. We are after cost-effective, workable solutions that are going to make our homes and communities just safer places to live. That's absolutely our mission.
What a great example to tie into the crash test dummies, because we see those commercials. I just assume it's Volvo. I just assume it's Porsche or whoever's doing the commercials, that they're the ones funding it. But I didn't realize that there was another third party involved.
Absolutely. The IIHS is a not-for-profit 501c3, fully funded by the insurance industry. They're the ones doing those experiments to make our world a better place. And when the companies, like all the big automakers, when they do well, they want to publicize that. Yes. And so they're taking that footage and they're making commercials out of it, showing how safe they are. We can do the same thing for our built environment, the same way that we can do for cars. It's a little bit more complicated because it's not one brand, right? There's all kinds of pieces and parts that come into making a house, but the premise is the same. The science is brutally clear, and there are things that we can do to make our buildings better resilient to wildfire.
Love it. So I want to bridge over to insurance, and then I'll jump back over to wildfire prevention because, you know, the example you just gave of the crash test dummies, and you have the car makers that are making that investment. I think the insurance companies have been hit so badly. They've lost so much money in the past 5 years that some companies have left California. Others are considering leaving California. And now it's beyond California, right? Now we have Colorado, we've got Montana, we've got all these other areas where they have this insurance crisis. Mm-hmm. And a company like yours, I feel, is really could lead the pack in really understanding what people can do to help prevent wildfire damage to their own home.
Oh, absolutely. We have a great relationship with the insurance companies that are our members. They provide the funding and they ask us to do this research because they are looking for solutions. They are looking for ways to make the communities where, frankly, they live and work and play more resilient because they are part of the community and part of the business world. And the science that comes out of our laboratory, combined with the science that we see when we go and do post-disaster studies, we are working towards, okay, this is the list. This is the list of the things that you have to do in order to bring down the risk in a significant way. And the insurance industry is like, great, let's put this together as a program, just like you did for Fortified. And let's call it, let's not call it Fortified, let's call it something that's more meaningful for the wildfire community. So we've got Wildfire Prepared Home. And it's made its debut here in California, but I think we're going to see a lot of activity in many of the western states because we're just seeing the impact of fire over and over again in the past couple of years. And I don't think that's going to change in the near future.
Boom. I love it. Wildfire Prepared Home, by the way, let me just give you a real quick plug. Where could people go to really understand, you know, if they want some sort of a designation like this, where could they start? Where could they go?
Absolutely. Wildfireprepared.org. Again, it's .org because we are a not-for-profit. So the information is there. It's publicly available. Anyone can take that science and go and do it like right now. You could do this as a do-it-yourself project in your backyard. And if you want to get a designation, right now the designation is available in the state of California. So you can go through, do the checklist, apply. I foresee that that's going to roll to other states pretty quickly. But in terms of building the infrastructure to actually check and have inspectors go out to the places and look around, right now that's available in California.
Awesome. And so just a reminder for all the listeners, whether you're a broker, you're a family office, you're business managers, you're property managers, or you're a homeowner, go to this site because really this is the platinum level of understanding how to protect your home from wildfire. So thank you for that. I do want to jump into, you know, if a homeowner goes and makes this investment of time, of energy, of resources, and some money, right, to make some of these changes to make the home more stable against wildfire, what are the benefits that you think are going to happen with the insurance carriers? Like, what's that tie? How does that look?
Right. Insurers are looking for solutions, and they are looking for ways that homeowners can differentiate themselves as saying, look, I've done these things. My home is much more resilient to wildland fire than these other ones. Look at the things I have put together. And so insurers are looking for solutions, and you're going to see them start to offer different incentives. There's not going to be a one-size-fits-all. And that's good for us as consumers. We're not looking for the industry to collude and to set a one-size-fits-all. But individual insurance companies are going to come up with incentives for homeowners who can demonstrate that they have reduced their risk. So go out there, do the things, talk to your insurance agent. See what's available for you.
I love that. We were talking earlier about one of my neighbors who, when I said, hey, let's do some gutter guards, let's do some of this. And he literally said to me, why are you doing all this, man? Like, you have insurance, I have insurance. Why are you concerned about it? And I'm like, we live in the WUI. We live in the wildland urban interface. Like, we have problems. You can't dismiss it as, let me just have the event happen and I don't have to worry about who's going to pay for it. When the reality is, I know that my neighbors largely have California Fair Plan, which is going to leave them in a bad situation. I'm grateful that we at least have the Fair Plan, right? Because many states don't. I know Colorado's struggling with trying to figure this out right now.
Exactly.
But at least we have something. But the reality is, when the claim happens, the Fair Plan is very limited on what they're going to pay.
Yes.
And so I was stricken with shock when my neighbor said that, because I'm like, you don't get it. Like, you don't understand.
Well, but even if you have the best insurance in the world, the best insurance in the world is not going to replace your wedding photos. The best insurance in the world is not going to replace grandma's quilt. These are the things that mean something to you. This is your home. And so, yes, please have good insurance, right? I mean, that's something that you need to have a healthy financial portfolio. And it's not gonna replace everything. And so I view Wildfire Prepared Home for wildfire and Fortified for high wind. These are things that you as a homeowner can do to take control of your own situation. Living in the WUI and doing nothing, to me, is the same as driving down the interstate with no seatbelt.
Boom. What a great example.
Just the same.
Yes. It's reckless.
It is.
It is reckless. I completely agree with you. When you talk about some of the things that we lose, like, some artifacts or things that we save and are dear and near to our heart, I also think about, in my industry, in the disaster restoration, I've seen the other side. After 25 years plus, I see that the homeowner is suffering. We have to rebuild their home. But I also hear about how Cindy and Bobby have to be taken to school, and where they're housed now, it's 5 miles away now versus, 2 blocks. And so now they're having to make the commute. Life just completely changes.
It's not the same, right? It's tragic when these things happen, and a lot of times it's easy to do, hindsight, or what about this, or this could have saved it. Let's just go ahead and be proactive and get out in front. We live in a beautiful, nature-inspired location. Let's go ahead and adapt to Mother Nature and say, okay, Mother Nature's been burning the wildland since well before men started writing stuff down in books, right?
Exactly.
The wildland fires are going to happen. Let's keep them wild and keep them out of our neighborhoods. And there are easy ways to do that. They're not zero cost and they're not zero sweat equity, right?
Right.
You have to lean forward and you have to do things. You yourself know how to do them. And they're achievable. They are doable. It's all about the roof and the vents and moving the landscaping. These things are not overwhelming. Just do them step by step and then take control of your risk.
Yes. I think, the insurance companies have gotten a bad rap in the last few years because they're non-renewing people because of the risk. And they're asking people, the ones that are staying are asking people to share in the risk. Like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Insured, I'm going to need you to do these 4 or 5 things if you want me to renew you. And so that's what's bringing awareness to the homeowners. And it's kind of a shame that that's what it takes, because I feel like prevention just isn't sexy. Like no one's like, they're not lining up to go and do the prevention thing because they can't see the benefit right away. But there is such a large benefit to it. in addition to the money you save with insurance, if that ever does come to pass, but being able to know that you can protect your own family, and
Right.
yes, you're investing with the insurance company in the risk. And when they see that, hopefully they begin to reward those people that do that.
Oh, absolutely. I think we're going to see a lot of activity in the next year or so, because Safer from Wildfire is in the process of rolling out, and insurance companies are responding to that. People should absolutely be talking with their insurance agents right now, because things are moving at a rapid pace here in California. And there are opportunities ahead. Insurers are looking for good solutions. Insurers want to provide insurance, and they know that people need insurance. Right. So, there's a lot of activity going on right now. And the best thing to do is to, if I'm a homeowner and I'm thinking, the best thing for me to do is to understand what I can do. What can I bring to this crisis situation to make my own situation much better? And that is go and look at the pieces that are there in Wildfire Prepared and start doing them. And then talk to your insurance agent. Figure out what's possible.
Yes. And so you brought up, I forget the terminology you just used for the Department of Insurance. What was that terminology?
CDI. Oh, safer from wildfires.
Yes, that's right. California's term, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I love that, because the Department of Insurance here in California, I think in April, is coming up with, hey, if you do these things, you're going to be able to get some sort of incentive from a carrier.
That's right. The regulation is out.
Okay.
And the regulation is out, and insurers have until April 15th, I believe is the deadline. It's tax day. I know. Yeah. Until April 15th to comply with that regulation that is out. So that's why I'm saying you're going to see a lot of activity in the near term in terms of different opportunities. So that's why you should take advantage of the pieces that are in Wildfire Prepared Home, and then talk to your insurance agent about saying, hey, I've done these pieces. Help me find a good solution for my home in my location.
Boom. I love it. And I can go on with a bunch of different questions and on, but I want to keep it concise. Thank you for coming on, but I want to just open this up. Is there anything that you want to share to the homeowner, to the business owners? I mean, that's another thing. Businesses are also, in harm's way, or to brokers, insurance companies. Is there any message you want to deliver?
Sure, absolutely. So what I want people to take away from this is, number one, we are not powerless against wildfire. There are absolutely things that you can do. The science that is available there at wildfireprepared.org, we have provided it through the lens of single family home, because if you look at insurance, that's the bulk, right? Is single family homes. And what I would say to business owners and to everybody else, the science is the same. So adapt and use that information within your own situation. And if you're a homeowner with a single family home, go do all the things and get yourself designated, and then you get a chance to talk to your insurance agent. It is not out of your reach.
Boom.
We're not powerless. We can do this.
I love that, Stan. And really, thank you because I started to see that we are not powerless against wildfire tagline. I'm like, that is amazing. That is true. That is what the mantra we should all live by. Absolutely. And, the last thing I would share for homeowners, I encourage you guys to do the work, but then beyond that, let's educate our neighbors on what they can do also to help their own yard, their own areas. And then as we impact the neighbors, then we can impact the entire community. And now you have a community that is smarter, that is more aware, and able to sleep better at night, knowing that we've all collectively have done our part. Like, that would be so beautiful to see a community do that. And if you guys are listening and you have a community that has done that, we want to hear from you guys, because that is amazing. That would be like really the next step of what we can do together to really fight against this, these events that are happening constantly, more frequently. And it doesn't matter if it's winter anymore.
No.
Because the wildfires will continue to ignite.
Right.
Yeah. So, and thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time. So thank you.
That's all for this episode of All Things Wildfire. If you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to our show and follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things wildfire. And as always, thanks for listening.